So here's a story about a stone cutter. Who knows what a stone cutter is? A stone cutter is a person who spends his life cutting stones. In other words, when you see a building and there's a beautiful stone front on it, someone had to chisel away at that stone or cut the stone or break the stone so it would fit right into the exact spot. It's a very difficult job. First of all, you have to be very careful, very precise on how you cut it and how you chisel it so that it looks just right. But it's also a very hard job because you're using a hammer in your arms and you're physically working all through the day. Well, this particular stone cutter was well known because he did beautiful work. He really had a good feeling about the artistic part of his job, and he seemed to enjoy it. He was a kind person. He was a good person. But as time went on and he chiseled and he broke stones and cut stones, and he really wasn't making a lot of money doing it. And so he was, I wouldn't say unhappy. He was a happy person, but he was dissatisfied in life. He was not happy in the sense that he couldn't do everything he wanted to for his family and for himself. And he would sit there sometimes working away so hard, and he would think to himself, if I was only rich, if I was wealthy, my life would be so different. My life would be not as hard, and I wouldn't have to work physically every single day. Well, it happened that an angel heard those words from this kind-hearted stone cutter, and suddenly he was rich. And he sat as a rich person. He didn't have to work every day. He didn't have to chisel and break stone, and he thought things would be great. Until one day a king rode by with all his beautiful horses and his wagon chariots and all his servants. And suddenly our stone cutter, who had become a wealthy person, was now again dissatisfied in his life. And he thought to himself, if only I was a king. If I was a king, I could ride around in a chariot and the servants would be with me. And his angel suddenly again made him what he had wished for. He was suddenly a king. And now he sat on a chariot with his servants and the horses pulling him all around town. And he thought this would be wonderful. And that's how his days went until, he started to feel that he was tired from always being on the wagon, and the sun was beating down on him all the time on the wagon, and he was getting sunburned, and this really wasn't so great. And he looked up at that sun beating down on him every day, making him feel so uncomfortable, and he said, I'm really dissatisfied. I'm not enjoying this. I wish I was the sun. The sun gets to be up there and beat down on everyone, and the sun is seen by everyone from everywhere. And sure enough, his angel made him the sun. And there he was in the sky, looking down on the earth and feeling that he had the best position he possibly could, until suddenly a cloud floated by. And you know what happens when a cloud gets in front of the sun. His rays could no longer beat down on the earth. He suddenly wasn't so happy with his position in life. He was dissatisfied with life. And he began again to say, I'm not the best thing. I wish I was a cloud. A cloud is even better than the sun. And sure enough, his angel made him that cloud. And he was at first floating there, and he could block the sun, and he could look down on the ground, and he thought, this is really wonderful. I'm so glad I'm a cloud. And then suddenly, as a cloud, we all know, does from time to time, he began to rain. And he rained torrents of water down across the earth, and he caused flooding, and he pushed things far and wide, and he said to himself, this is not the most powerful thing. I wish I was the rain. If I was rain, I would be the most powerful, and I would be happy again. And because he was dissatisfied, his angel made him the rain, and sure enough, you know what happened. As he rained down on the earth, he was able to push things. He pushed, fields of wheat. He could push them over, and small wagons and small buckets, anything in his way, he could flood it and push it. Except one thing. There were these boulders, these rocks. They wouldn't be moved no matter how much he rained. And he was dissatisfied again, and he thought to himself, I wish I was one of these stones. Not even the rain can push a stone. And sure enough, his angel made him a stone. And there he sat, very happy to be a stone, unable to be moved by even the rain with floods and torrents of water. Except you know what happened. Along came a stone cutter. And the stone cutter was ready to break his rock and to chisel away. And he became very dissatisfied with life, thinking that that was to happen. And sure enough, his angel made him a stone cutter again. And so the cycle of changes, going from a stone cutter to a wealthy person, but then wanting to be king, and then seeing the sun and wanting to be the sun and the cloud and the rain, brought him right back to being a stone cutter again. And he was never dissatisfied again with his life and what he did. And so sometimes we look at other people or other situations, and way down deep inside we say, I wish to be that. And when that happens, we have to sometimes step back and say, but look at what I have. And look at what I can do if I try hard to make life, that special way of being, so that I'm never dissatisfied with what I have. That is an important lesson as we look at the holidays and think of the year to come. Think about who we are, what we have, and to be satisfied with it. Shana Tova.